It's Tuesday, August 26, 2025. Good evening and welcome to the daily happenings inside our federal machine. This is Spathon and it's time to plunge into the swamp. President Trump held a 3-hour cabinet meeting today, the 7th cabinet meeting of his second term, which was fully open to the press. We'll check out some of the cabinet members and what they said during the meeting. Also, on a somber note, today marks the 4th anniversary of the terrorist attack at Abbey Gate, where 13 service members were killed in Kabul, Afghanistan during the Biden withdrawal debacle. And also, President Trump relieves Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook from her position after she's allegedly been engaging in mortgage fraud with 2 different properties, but she's refusing to leave her post. And also, an Oak Ridge nuclear facility in Tennessee becomes the first company in the nation to manufacture nuclear fuel for commercial use. Production begins in just a few weeks. And President Trump calls out any country engaged with using digital taxes, digital services legislation, and digital markets regulations that are designed to harm or discriminate against American tech companies, especially while giving a complete pass to China. And the president is threatening much harsher tariffs against countries who are doing exactly that. After the president met with the South Korean president, Hyundai announced they are increasing their financial investment in U.S. production to $26 billion. And also, the Secretary of Transportation announced he will be imposing penalties against California, as well as Washington and New Mexico, for failing to comply with the Trump administration's English language proficiency standards with regard to commercial driver's licenses. And Black Americans, they are praising Trump for his crackdown on DC crime, and we'll check out one of those videos. And there's a lot more to dig through, so we're just going to dive right in. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And if you leave a comment, I might just read your comment on the next episode if you decide to drop one. So the first thing we're going to be starting with is with the White House. Make DC safe again. 54% of registered voters in DC believe that President Trump's actions to crack down on crime are justified. And next here, and then of course that's the image that the White House had shared. And we're going to get straight to this video that was shared by Dom Luker, breaker of narratives. Breaking! Black Americans are uploading videos praising President Trump for DC, claiming that they can walk around the streets and feel safe for the first time in their lives. And they're urging Trump to clean up other cities. A massive shift has happened, and nobody seems to be noticing. So let's check this out.
They said FBI, DEA, ICE, it's all that outside in Washington, D.C. I don't even got to look over my shoulder no more. I'm walking around with this shit. I ain't hiding none of this shit. I'm walking blocks with this motherfucker. Listen, jump out on me if you want. I'm going to scream. They're going to be here in 33 seconds. As soon as you tell about, get that shit up. Ah!
Uh-oh.
They going to help the shit out of me. Y'all niggas jump out on me I want. Good God almighty, boy. I got some motherfucking help. Some backup. For real, you jump out. I'm going to blow your ass. Look, they right here. Look. They outside, though. Oh, God almighty. I could just scream. They gonna help me.
All right, man. Good times. Good times. Out enjoying the evening and able to wear his jewelry, able to wear expensive clothes and not have to worry about getting ripped off and mugged and carjacked and God knows what else. Finally, it's nice. And it's good that they're posting videos on TikTok. I mean, that's just one example, but yeah, according to Dom Luker, there's more than one. I'm not on TikTok ever. I do watch TikTok stuff, but I usually watch it through YouTube compilations, so I'm not on TikTok browsing through stuff. But I might actually give that a look, though, and just check it out and just see if there's others that are talking about it. Maybe if I come across another one, I'll definitely share it in the next episode or in the coming days if I happen to come across another one. So this one also equally interesting from RNC Research. Watch. Democrat Mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, refuses to admit that police would help make the city safer for nearly 3 minutes. The host says, "Do you believe Chicago would be safer with more police?" And Johnson answers, "I believe cities would be safer if we actually had affordable housing." The fuck does that mean? Anyway, let's listen to this.
Would
It's
you
crazy.
also like to get federal funding to help put 5,000 more cops on the street in Chicago? Would that help drive down crime?
Well, look, policing by itself is not the full strategy.
No, I understand that. You've talked about the other things you want, and I said those are good and important programs, but I'm asking also, would 5,000 more police officers on the street in Chicago be helpful to go along with all of those social programs that a lot of cities are engaging in and having success with?
Wait a minute. 5,000 more police? More police than they already have in Chicago. And how would that not be a full-on authoritarian-style takeover of the city by adding 5,000 cops to Chicago? I mean, they're complaining, Democrats, I'm saying. They're complaining about the military intervening and all that stuff, all that hyperbole that they're talking about with the feds and the military, and it's the evil big bad orange dictator that's taken over. But dude, adding 5,000 cops, talk about overkill.
Well, look, here's the best way I can put it, Joe.
Just let them do their damn jobs.
When I was in high school, we had 3,000 more police officers, and we had 900 people being murdered every single year in Chicago. It's just not policing alone. Of course, we want more detectives.
I know it's not policing alone, but
I
know it's not policing alone. You've told me everything else you want. I'm curious, and this does come down to an ideological difference between people. Do you believe that the streets of Chicago would be safer if there were more uniformed police officers on the streets?
In other words, do you still stand for defund the police? Do you still think that getting rid of all the cops in the city and replacing them with a bunch of freaking social workers is really the way to go? Of course it isn't, but I like how he's pressing them on this.
Chicago.
I believe the city of Chicago and cities across America would be safer if we actually had, affordable housing.
Look, wrong answer.
That's not the question I asked. My question is, and I just need a yes or a no. Do you believe
just say no, dude, and let's move on.
Chicago would be safer?
Because we know you want to say no.
All of those other extraordinary programs put back into
it won't
place,
be safer.
Which do have a
Fuck
history
the
of being
police.
successful. If that's
I am the police.
By having
the mayor kind of is.
More cops on the streets of Chicago.
God, dude, 5,000 more?
I don't believe that we should narrow it down to just police officers, Joe, is what I'm saying. That is an antiquated approach. I'm saying we've invested in detectives.
Mr. Mayor, are you hearing what I'm saying? I'm agreeing with you that all of these other social programs are extraordinarily important. I just need a yes or a no, and then this will be the last time I ask. If you get all of those other social programs that
you get all of it, all you want,
that New York City does, Los Angeles, other people do with great success.
I think Joe wants him to say no, actually.
On the streets in Chicago, help complement those programs to make Chicago safer.
I mean, we all know
we are working hard to make sure that our police department is fully supported. I don't believe that just simply putting out an arbitrary number around police officers is the answer.
Oh, wow, man. I mean, it's hard to gauge Joe and I can't remember her name. I know her name, but I forgot her name offhand, like this whole Morning Joe with his wife and whatnot. But anyway, he probably... there's not even a probably, dude. The common sense answer is if there's more cops, then yeah, there's going to be less crime because there's going to be more law enforcement out there making sure that crime isn't occurring. So we all know what the answer is, but I just got a feeling that Joe Scarborough just wants him to say no, because that would be the Democratic narrative. That would be the leftist narrative. Defund the police, get rid of the cops. We don't need cops. We can just police ourselves. And then the city of Chicago will just magically be safe. But anyway, I had to share that, man. That was a banger. That was hilarious. All right, so this comes from Mike Davis, and this is switching gears to President Trump. He relieved the Federal Reserve Governor, Lisa Cook, from her position today. Actually, I think it was technically last night, wasn't it? Yeah. So today's August 26th, and he relieved her of her duty as Federal Reserve Governor, which she happens to be the first black woman governor of the Federal Reserve. So, of course, Democrats are making that a massive issue, even though it isn't one really at all. So I'm just going to read this letter here. I know it's hard to read. You can go to Rapid Response 47 and read the letter for yourself. I'm sure it's probably all over the internet at this point. And, X doesn't really cooperate very well with making things larger, although that did help a little bit. So anyway, Let's see. So the White House, Washington, August 25th, to Dr. Lisa D. Cook, member, Board of Governors, United States Federal Reserve System, 20th Street and Constitution Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20551. Dear Governor Cook, pursuant to my authority under Article 2 of the Constitution of the United States and the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 as amended, you are hereby removed from your position on the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve effective immediately. The Federal Reserve Act provides that you may be removed at my discretion for cause. C 12 USC 242. I have determined that there is sufficient cause to remove you from your position. As set forth in the criminal referral dated August 15th of 2025 from Mr. William J. Pulte, Director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, to Ms. Pamela Bondi, Attorney General of the United States, which is a criminal referral attached to this letter as Exhibit A, there is sufficient reason to believe you have made false statements on one or more mortgage agreements. For example, as detailed in the criminal referral, you signed one document attesting that a property in Michigan would be your primary residence for the next year. 2 weeks later, you signed another document for a property in Georgia stating it would be your primary residence for the next year. It is inconceivable that you were not aware of your first commitment when making the second. It is impossible that you intended to honor both. The Federal Reserve has tremendous responsibility for setting interest rates and regulating reserve and member banks. The American people must be able to have full confidence in the honesty of the members entrusted with setting policy and overseeing the Federal Reserve. In light of your deceitful and potentially criminal conduct in a financial matter, they cannot and I do not have such confidence in your integrity. At a minimum, the conduct at issue exhibits the sort of gross negligence in financial transactions that calls into question your competence and trustworthiness as a financial regulator. Oh, snap. The executive power of the United States is vested in me as president, and as president, I have a solemn duty to ensure that the laws of the United States are faithfully executed. I have determined that faithfully executing the law requires your immediate removal from office. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And it was signed by President Trump himself with no auto pen, as always. And she is kind of pushing back a little bit. So this is from Mike Davis. I'm just going to start off with him. If the President of the United States does not have the Article 2 power to remove any Federal Reserve governor at any time for any reason, then the Federal Reserve structure is unconstitutional. As that would seem to make sense. All right, so we have from Jordan Schachtel. I'm butchering the name, I know. Anyway, so Lisa Cook, let me bring this back to regular size here. Lisa Cook obtained separate $203,000 and $550,000 mortgages for a Michigan and Georgia property, claiming both as a principal residence. She then rented them out and omitted the income from disclosures. She secured lower rates through false statements. She is a fraudster, and the president has every right to can her. And he's replying to Kyle Cheney. Update, Lisa Cook says she is not going anywhere, and Trump's bid to fire her is baseless, according to her. And this is from Lisa D. Cook, member, Federal Reserve Board of Governors. And this is a quote. President Trump purported to fire me for cause when no cause exists under the law, and he has no authority to do so. I will not resign. I will continue to carry out my duties to help the American economy as I have been doing since 2022. What the fuck? So from Abby David Lowell from Lowell and Associates, President Trump has taken to social media to once again fire by tweet. And once again, his reflex to bully is flawed, and his demands lack any proper process, basis, or legal authority. We will take whatever actions are needed to prevent his attempted illegal action. Well, dude, you're obviously committing mortgage fraud. You got caught for it. It's being referred to Pamela Bondi for prosecution. So you're done, dude. You're cooked. And that is Cook herself, Governor Lisa Cook, trying to power grab her position, refusing to step down. So President Donald Trump on Monday said he's firing Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, escalating his pressure campaign on the central bank to lower interest rates. In a social media post, Trump shared a letter addressed to Cook asserting the Department of Justice's inquiry into whether Cook lied on mortgage applications amounted to sufficient cause to remove her from the Fed board. Cook was nominated to her role by President Joe Biden and confirmed by the Senate in 2022. What's up with all these people, Joe Biden? He hires all these people and they just keep committing crimes for some reason. It's just really weird. She was previously a professor of economics and international relations at Michigan State University and served on the board of directors of the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. Quote, "The American people must be able to have full confidence in the honesty of the members entrusted with setting policy and overseeing the Federal Reserve," Trump said in the letter, "in light of your deceitful and potentially criminal conduct in a financial matter," so on. Trump has repeatedly sought to influence the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates and has previously suggested removing Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Bill Pulte filed a criminal referral to the Department of Justice this month, alleging that Cook claimed 2 homes as her primary residence, one of a number of mortgage fraud investigations he has launched against the president's political targets, including New York Attorney General Letitia James and California Senator Adam Schiff. Thank you, President Trump, for your commitment to stopping mortgage fraud and following the law, Pulte said in a social media post. "If you commit mortgage fraud in America, we will come after you, no matter who you are." And that's exactly what's happening with Adam Schiff. He's being investigated for mortgage fraud and bank fraud, and I think wire fraud is another one. Like, this dude's in some deep shit. Let's see. Cook argued that Trump's cause for removing her is illegitimate, and her attorney pledged to challenge the president's action. And we already read her quote. Let's see. We already read that quote. So let's see. The Supreme Court has repeatedly backed Trump's efforts to remove executive branch officials that Congress had attempted to shield from removal without cause, including from agencies that have historically enjoyed arm's length independence. But the judges have made clear they view the Fed as an exception to this deference to the president. So this is going to get really interesting if the president has the authority to fire a governor on the board of governors with the Fed. I don't know. It's never happened. Apparently, it's been 111 years. At least I think I got the number right. And no governor's ever been fired by a president before. So it's kind of interesting. The very first time it's going to get directly challenged, and they're going to refuse to step down, even though they're in the hot seat for fucking mortgage fraud, dude. You're a financial individual. You're one of the top members of the Fed, for crying out loud. I mean, what the fuck are you doing committing mortgage fraud, you dumbass? And this is from Republicans against Trump. Breaking, Fed Governor Lisa Cook pushes back with a strong statement after Trump claimed to fire her. And of course, I already read that. Let's see. Another one from Eric Daugherty. Update: DEI Democrat Fed Governor Lisa Cook has now refused to let President Trump fire her for mortgage fraud, declaring defiantly, "I will continue to carry out my duties." Both legitimate and illegitimate, apparently. The fourth branch of government is going rogue. And from Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, of course, a Democrat. I think everybody knows who she is by now. For the first time in 111 years, a president is planning to fire a sitting Fed governor. And of course, it's the first black woman, Lisa Cook. Trump's message is clear. When black women rise, he'll do anything to push us down. Newsflash, we're not going anywhere. Dude, it ain't because she's black. It's because she's a fucking fraudster. She's committing fraud, mortgage fraud, and she's not reporting it. That's why she's getting fired. But of course, they always have to make it a race thing, no matter what. Even if they're blatantly violating the law, it's got to be a race thing over there with the Democrats, as it always is. All right, so we're going to move on from that nonsense. From Rapid Response 47, President Trump concludes his cabinet meeting, which lasted 3 hours and 17 minutes, completely open to the media. It's government. It's an open government. That's what we are. So let's check this out.
This is the greatest. This has never been done before. First of all, a cabinet meeting was safe.
Behind closed doors.
Let the fake news media in. The fake news media isn't all fake. It's a lot of it is.
Most of it.
It's not all. I think it's a great thing. I think maybe it's going to be done in the future. I hope it's going to be done. But you really get the word out. I mean, we had each one of these people spoke. I think each one, if I thought one of them did badly, I would call that person out. I would say, Christy, what the heck are you doing?
He just called her out.
Seriously, you're a very talented group of people. They get along, they work along together. And there's something really nice about just the openness of what we're doing. It's government. It's an open government. That's what we are.
Yeah, that's what it should be. That's the way it should be. But I get it. There's going to be sensitive things. There's going to be quote unquote classified shit that they're going to have to bring up from time to time. So is this the out in the open cabinet meeting followed by later this evening, the behind closed doors real cabinet meeting? I doubt it. Probably not. But I would think that if there is anything sensitive to discuss, maybe they would have something like that occur. I don't know. But this is from the Office of Management and Budget. So I'm going to go through with different cabinet members. They posted to their accounts clips of them speaking during the cabinet meeting. So I grabbed probably half a dozen of them or so from different departments in the government, represented by members of the cabinet, of course. So we're going to start with Office of Management and Budget. President Trump set a goal of eliminating 10 regulations for every one new regulation, continuing the massive success of his first term. Less than a year later, we are 30 for 1, including some of the largest deregulatory actions ever.
So, Russell, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I get the opportunity to go hand by hand with all of these people as they move their deregs through the Office of Management and Budget. And I wanted to zoom out for a second. In the first term, you gave us a goal of 2 for 1. And then we outperformed it through your leadership. We came in at around 5.5, 6 for 1. And then as you're running for your second term, you put out a goal that when you put it out, I was thinking to myself, that's going to be a pretty ambitious goal. You said 10 for 1. Well, where we are right now, in just 1 month, in 1 year, basically 8 months, we are at 245 deregulatory initiatives planned by these agencies. That comes out to 30 for 1. So we are making incredible strides, and as you're focused on the details of each one, I mean,
that's pretty good.
Small things. Endangerment finding is one of the most deregulatory things we've in the history of this country. NEPA reform, incredibly deregulatory. WOTUS just came in, which is Waters of the United States. So every single one of these agencies is doing incredible work when it comes to deregulatory, and we add that to the work being done to get us going on energy, reduce spending. We're going to lower costs for the American people. We're going to be able to have innovative jobs and get them back to work. So thank you for your leadership, Mr. President.
Well, that's good news. That's a good start. Dude, could you imagine the cabinet meeting under Biden? It must have been a fucking snooze fest. It had to have been just an absolute snooze fest. Probably most of them didn't even know what the hell was going on anyway. But this one's from the House Committee on Agriculture. Secretary Rollins, at USDA, it continues to be my greatest honor to fight for the original American worker, the farmer.
Sir, I dropped my second son off at college last week. And I wasn't planning to say this, but just listening to everybody, I wanted to put a little bit of a personal touch on this work. He started his freshman year yesterday at Texas A&M, for all my SEC friends in the room. Thank you for saving college football, by the way. We're all very grateful. The country just feels different. It just feels different. There's such a optimism and a love. There's a faith movement going through, especially with our younger Americans. And for those of us with kids in college, I know we feel it. And I experienced it firsthand last week, moving him and my other older son in as well. As we move toward Labor Day, you have made a lot of dreams come true for a lot of people, but one of my longtime dreams was for the right to recapture Labor Day. And I've been talking about this for almost 20 years and writing about it, that why are we ceding the day that we are celebrating the American worker to the Democrats? Because this is our day. Perhaps of any day of the entire year, this is our day. America was founded and fought for by fishermen and farmers and workmen and et cetera. The Genesis, the first book of the Bible, talks about the righteousness of work and the art of creation. And so to be part of this effort to represent the farmers, the ranchers, the agriculture industry at this moment in time, which I do believe we're in a revolution. 1776 was the first one, 1863 or so with Abraham Lincoln was the second. This is the third with Donald Trump leading the way. And we are saving America. And the idea that we are putting the worker, the very central component of the American dream, at the center of it is the reason that it is so. So at USDA, it continues to be my greatest honor to fight for.
And this is why they desperately tried to stop Trump from getting his second term.
And what they represent. And as we are,
because they wanted
building
America
new
to crash
systems
and burn.
new structures, as we have this year, going to have the best harvest on record for our row croppers and others. What this team has done and is doing to open up those markets to ensure that these farmers can continue to return prosperity to rural America. I'll finish with this. This morning, we had a working group with 6 of our cabinet members. Bobby Kennedy representing healthcare, Linda McMahon education, Lee Zeldin deregulation, Kelly Loeffler small business, Lori Chavez Tarimer labor,
yeah, man. I'm
and
following
Scotty
all of them.
Turner, housing, and how you leading the way in your vision, how that will return the golden age to rural America, to the very fabric of our country. And whether it's better hospitals, better education, more opportunity, less government, better and bigger small businesses, better opportunities for our workers, and better housing, and of course the agriculture piece of that, through the big, beautiful bill, what it did, the greatest investment in rural America in history. And now the opportunity to effectuate that is, again, a game changer, a country saver, and what a joy to be able to do it under your leadership. So thank you, sir.
Really good. Thank you.
Man, that was a hell of a speech, man. Spoken from the heart, for sure. And this one's from Secretary Lori Chavez de Raymer at the president. He's the president of the American Worker, and it's an honor to serve in an administration that puts the hardworking men and women of this nation first. And by the way, she's the Secretary of Labor. So we're going to give this a listen and a watch if you're watching.
More excited to ring in
Oh, that's very quiet.
Labor Day.
Uh-oh.
In Erie, Pennsylvania for the Labor Day Parade. I will be there to welcome.
All right, I got it
It
maxed.
is an honor to serve this country. It is an honor to serve under your administration as the Labor Secretary, and we will kick off, and Republicans will own Labor Day again, not Democrats. We will own it because we are, and you are the president of the American Worker. So thank you for everything that you've done. Absolutely.
You're doing a fantastic job, and I will tell you that Lori was recommended by the Teamsters.
Ah.
That doesn't really work, does it? And it turned out to be one of our best choices. So I just want to thank you and Sean, who, as you know, recommended you very strongly. You've really turned out to be a gem.
All right. All right. So let's move to the next one. Secretary Kennedy. He needs no introduction. At HHS Gov, we're increasing funding to rural hospitals by 50%, the largest infusion in history. I'm trying to recall what the number was. What was it, like 45 billion or maybe 50 billion? It's in the tens of billions of dollars that they allocated in the one big beautiful bill for rural hospitals to try to keep them afloat as they're working on cutting back on the Medicare, Medicaid fraud, waste, and abuse and all that nonsense that they've, been trying to claw back. But anyway, we can't survive as a nation if we don't honor our rural communities, and POTUS is bringing those communities back. And just real quick, I did a video on Sunday talking about how young Americans are pouring back into small towns and they're breathing life back into rural America again. And that mostly was mainly kicked off during the whole COVID era when everybody was sent to work from home. So a lot of people were trying to find cheaper places to live. So they moved into smaller towns all throughout America. And for the first time in decades, like damn near a century, small towns overall saw a growth in young Americans, not older Americans, but in young Americans. And I mean, that's definitely a good thing. And hopefully it'll keep doing its thing. And I mean, people are really just trying to find cheap housing at the end of the day. I think that's a big reason why there's so many people moving to smaller communities these days. But anyway, here, we'll take a listen to Secretary Kennedy.
Beautiful bill. Right now, we spend 7% of Medicaid dollars on rural hospitals. So they're getting the short end of the stick. It's about $19 billion a year. Under the Rural Transformation Program, we give them...
Well, and how many rural hospitals are there? There's got to be like over 1,000. Probably thousands of different rural hospitals. And yeah, most of them are small. They're not very big, but they're there, and they're absolutely necessary. A town where there's 15,000, 20, 30,000 people that live in that town, they got to have a hospital. I mean, that's enough people for a hospital to be necessary. So, I mean, it's good that he's bringing awareness to this.
An extra $10 billion a year. So we're raising an infusion of cash to rural hospitals and rural communities by 50%. It's going to be the biggest infusion in history, and it's going to restore and revitalize these communities. And we can't survive as a nation if we don't honor our rural communities, which are the source of our values, our virtues, our character, our economy, our food. And you are bringing that back you are bringing those communities back.
Yeah, and a lot of those communities are really going to appreciate that because, I mean, they voted for Trump overwhelmingly. They voted for him. So, all right. So from Rapid Response 47, this is pertaining to Secretary Burgum, who I believe is the Secretary of the Interior. Yeah, the Secretary of the Interior. And it's a quote, but I'll just let it play out. This one's a bit longer. It's about 5 minutes in length. So I don't know if it's only going to focus on Secretary Burgum, but he must have quite a bit of important information to share. So we'll just give this a watch.
You've heard from around the table how people are grateful to have an opportunity to be part of this team, have an opportunity to work for you, and have an opportunity to serve the American people. And I would say as we head into this Labor Day, the thing that really differentiates you and your leadership and everybody around this table is one word, and that's respect.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, man. I got the day off on Monday.
Respect our farmers and ranchers.
Or is it next Monday? I think it's this Monday, isn't it?
In law enforcement.
This coming
That's
Monday.
A huge change.
Yeah, it is.
Respecting the people that are in uniform, respecting our veterans, respecting our shrimp fishermen. I mean, whoever it is in this country, people that are building our roads. This whole group embodies.
You know, I used to work with a woman third shift. She was from Jamaica, and she said the way that they celebrated Labor Day was the entire country would shut down for the day, and everybody would clean up their local neighborhoods. They would sweep up trash. They would pull weeds from sidewalks, and they would do everything they could to just clean up the local area, like very local. Like you would clean up in front of your house, or you just like clean up your neighborhood street. And apparently it was a nationwide initiative. And when she moved here, she was surprised that we also had a Labor Day, but people don't do shit. People do jack shit for Labor Day. They just sit around and do nothing. Not everybody, but a lot of people do nothing. Or I mean, I guess going out and enjoying the day, enjoying a longer weekend, or maybe going fishing or something like that. It's a day that most Americans use for leisure and not for putting in work to clean up your local community without expecting your local government services to do that. So I thought that was an interesting take that's how they handle Labor Day in Jamaica. I think we should take a page out of their book.
Use that sense of respect. And when we start with that, then who benefits? We come up with policies that help those people.
Of course, it means different things.
You've led an opportunity.
I mean, our Labor Day doesn't
the lower taxes,
align with theirs, but
way lower deregulation.
Anyway.
Record amounts of investment that's coming into this country. We're going to be seeing lower interest rates. All of those things coming together is a gift to the working people. The policies are lifting everybody up. There's 140 million Americans that get up and go every day and drive to work. They commute.
Hell
and one
yeah.
of the most obscene things of the prior administration was their energy policies was creating a hidden tax on those people.
Yep,
the
a
poorer
disaster.
You were, usually the further you had to drive because you couldn't afford the housing if you were working
Absolutely.
at a hotel, if you were working in a service industry. We were taxing them. A hidden tax on them was the high cost of energy. You were perhaps one of the only leaders in the world that understood the connection between peace abroad and prosperity at home was directly connected to energy policy. You came in and said,
Oh, yeah,
we're
man,
gonna sell energy
petrodollar.
to our friends and allies. We're going to bring prosperity at home through policies here by having lower energy prices, and we're going to stop funding wars abroad with energy policies that help their adversaries and hurt us. You said we're going to sell energy to our friends and allies, and with the work that Jameson and Howard and Scott and everyone has done,
like $600 billion of energy going to the EU.
Renaissance in American energy, selling energy to the world, which is going to help bring peace abroad. But the real key thing, in closing, I want to say is two things. One has to do with the U.S. Park Police. That's the group here in Washington, D.C. They're the oldest uniform.
Yep, in the whole country.
Oldest uniform law enforcement group in the nation. You coming out and visiting with them in person before they went out on the surge.
Oh, talk about a morale boost.
Not only are carjackings down, muggings down, homicides down, everything down, morale is through the roof.
I'm sure.
Just like Pete saw, we've got record people signing up to want to be part of our military. You have breathed life back into the profession of law enforcement. Your respect for law enforcement is so incredible. It's making a difference. And then us giving them the tools. On a lighter note for everybody here, one of the rules that under President Trump we were able to change for the U.S. Park Police was they could do a pursuit. I was shocked to find out when we were talking to them, like, oh, you pull somebody over and they just drive away and you can't pursue them? I mean, like, and they said, no, we can't. They said, all rules. We got that rule changed in 24 hours because of President Trump's leadership.
Good.
The next night, they had so much fun. They pulled people over. They started to take off. They chased them. They stopped them. And then the bad guys, some of these were in cars that had stolen plates. So they take the plate off. They steal them off somebody else's car. They know it. The plate doesn't match. They know they're doing this thing. the bad guys in the car said, "What? You're not supposed to chase us. Like you're breaking the rules." The
we
bad
are
guys
now.
are telling us to bring. No, we're back in action. So it's like, and so the morale is high. They all wanted to say thank you to you. Yesterday, you announced increasing the number of U.S. Park Police that we're going to hire. This is the group that protects not only our sacred monuments of democracy here, but also the Statue of Liberty and the Golden Gate. This is a great group. But on behalf of all law enforcement, we say thank you. And as Chris Wright was talking about electricity, I want to close with that. We've solved amazing things in 7 months, but the big challenge we have against the remaining is, solving Iran's nuclear thing, that was an existential threat. China beating us in the AI arms race, that's an existential threat.
Yep.
We finally have a president who talks about it. You talked about it in your opening remarks. You've signed executive orders. You understand that essentially we used to say hundreds of years ago, people started saying that knowledge is power. But now, for the first time in history, we can take electricity and we can convert it into intelligence. So it's flipped. It's no longer knowledge is power. Power is also knowledge. And while we're ahead on the technology, we're way behind China on the amount of electricity they're bringing online.
Oh, big time.
And your strong position to support affordable, reliable energy using our nation's resources.
Got to build up nuclear, man.
Department of Interior, bringing back coal mining, bringing back mining, bringing back
nuclear,
timber, all the industries.
Yeah, timber too. We need timber.
Coming back to life because of you. And with your leadership, we have a chance to not only win the AI arms race, but actually dominate it the way we're dominating in other things. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. In China, they've got over 30, I can't remember the exact number, 36, 37 coal power plants that are currently under construction in their major coal power plants. Very large in size. And God knows how many that they've already got in production right now. But yeah, they're absolutely beating us on energy for sure. And it's good that he rolled back the red tape with regard to nuclear production. And I'm going to get into it in this video. We've got the first ever commercial manufacturing facility that is manufacturing nuclear energy for nuclear power plants, for nuclear production. And I think that's awesome. So we'll get into that. But first, Secretary Sean Duffy, this is the next one. We cannot build big, beautiful things without the men and women who pour their sweat into the roads, bridges, ships, and runways that keep our country moving. Oh, by the way, he's with the Department of Transportation, right? Yeah, DOT. This week is about honoring our workers with the grit that makes America great.
We all want to claim Labor Day in our
Oh, that is super quiet.
DOT because,
all right, it's maxed.
Bridges, pipelines, shipbuilding, rail, passenger.
God, why is it so damn quiet?
And freight all fall under the great men and women who wear boots and make this country wonderful. And at DOT, we don't want to have the Congress spend money. We want to take the money that Congress gives us and actually deploy it and put these men and women to work building the great projects of this country. That you said, the big, beautiful projects that connect this country. And that's why we have got rid of the DEI. We've got rid of
Thank
the
God.
Green. We've done what we can to streamline the regulation to move these projects faster. Time is money, and time has been money. Even Democrats agree now that it takes too long to go through the regulatory process. So we're going to move these projects faster, putting the great American worker back to work.
All right, good deal, good deal. So let me scale back this volume a little bit because I don't want to blow out eardrums. So this is from VA Secretary Doug Collins, updated the president on the progress we're making at the Department of Veterans Affairs from a historic reduction to the benefits backlog to increasing access to care. We're putting veterans at the center of everything we do. Let's check this out.
Well, Mr. President, I feel like, as everybody here has talked about how great working with this team is and all, but I do feel a special need that you've given me the privilege of working with the best of America. I get to take care of the veterans. I get to take care of the veterans who have...
Yeah, you know he loves his job. He's always really enthusiask when he's in front of the cameras.
If it wasn't for men and women who would leave their jobs and go fight this nation's battles to keep us free and independent so that they would have jobs to come home to. And over the past few years, they've been coming home to many times a government that was keeping them back, holding them back, taxing them, regulating them. And now we have veterans who represent the bill, the big, beautiful bill, they're the beneficiaries of. And I get to see them all the time because they're receiving the benefit because they see the jobs, they see the care that they're being given. And these veterans can look at their country with pride, knowing that we're taking care of them, just like you told me to do when you're only statement you said to me, I asked you what to do, you said go take care of my veterans. Well, that's what we're doing. One of the other things we're doing right now is, for many of you, I love to hear how you're deregulating everything, and I've worked from Congress and worked with many of you before. I get to do the same thing with the largest bureaucratic organization in the government. We're deregulating from the inside.
Good.
And it's amazing to me because we have such a powerful workforce at the VA who really want to do good, but yet they kept tripping themselves up. They kept making their own, they'd take one step forward and put a regulation in that put them 3 steps back, and it always hurt our veterans at the end. We're taking that away. We're making community care again, Mr. President. We talked about this yesterday. We're making community care a part of our direct care system. So if a veteran wants to get into the community, they have our direct care, and they also have the ability to go into the community. Something that the previous administration decided they wanted to keep everybody inside because they thought it was a fiefdom they were building. I'm telling you, we're not building a fiefdom at the VA. We're trying to take care of a service organization that takes care of veterans. So how do we do that? We made best medical interest, where a doctor can send a veteran to the community a lot quicker without having to worry about miles and time logged and wait times. Just get them the help they need. We've actually expanded out, and it's made a difference in this regulation, and also unleashed a workforce that is now free of the collective bargaining agreements and other things that have kept them from being able to do the job of national security that they've been intended to. I'm actually giving them the benefit of the doubt to actually go be the workers that they're called to be, and that's what Labor Day is about. The VA is going to have the best workers. But just to let you know how that's working out, wait times at our hospital are going down because we're getting them into our hospitals or into community care. And then one for you, Mr. President, you heard about this a lot, and that was backlogs. At the backlog, when I first came in, I've said this before, in February we had over 260,000 backlog. That means over 125 days of not getting an answer. In just a little over 4.5 months, we've dropped that over 100,000. We're under 150 and heading down to historic lows. We'll be within the next month lower than any time under the previous administration.
Rock on.
That means our veterans are getting the help they need.
Good.
So when you look at it this way, we've opened new facilities. We put new facilities in places where workers can get to. We've expanded out hours, over 1 million extra hours, so veterans, younger veterans in particular, can get off of work and bring themselves and get their appointments in after hours or on Saturdays. That's what it means to be in the Trump administration. That's what it means to take care of veterans. That's what it means for Labor Day, because you can't forget the ones who fought for us to be on this table today. And it's all because of what you've done and the progress that we've made.
Yeah, it's awesome. They also did home loan relief too, that if a veteran falls behind on their mortgage, that Secretary Collins, he announced that probably a week or two ago. It wasn't that long ago. It was fairly recent that they rolled out a program that if a veteran's behind on their mortgage for whatever reason, they can apply through a service through the VA and they'll send them relief for it. So, all right, and this one's from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. As I said in today's cabinet meeting, POTUS has a clear mandate to restore confidence in government. The Fed's credibility rests on public trust, and President Trump is bringing back that trust.
As we've said very often, economic security is national security, and our country has never been so secure thanks to you. You have brought us back from the edge. You have the overwhelming mandate from the American people. You're restoring confidence in government, a topic that is on the front of everyone's mind, the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve's independence comes from a political arrangement between itself and the American public. Having the public's trust is the only thing that gives it credibility.
Yeah, except nobody trusts them.
Sir, are restoring trust to government. You are
not to the Fed.
Weeding out the waste, fraud, and abuse, and the old ways of doing things are not good enough.
All right, so moving on to Scott Turner. And he is the Secretary of Housing, isn't he? U.S. Development of Housing and Urban Development. POTUS has been a tremendous champion for the American worker. Under his leadership, we are restoring the dignity of work, getting able-bodied, able-minded people off of government subsidies and onto a path towards self-sustainability.
I come from a hard-working family, as many people around this table do. And so thank you for helping us to change the conversation. And I believe we are changing the conversation around the kitchen table. Mm-hmm. And as everybody knows, you know, my job is to steward HUD. And we have at HUD been very intentional about changing the conversation about the dignity of work and the dignity and the honor of family formation through work. Mm-hmm. And how the younger generation, when they see their parents work, how they're incentivized to work. And that, you know, America is not a welfare state.
No, it's not.
Was built on small
Get rid of the
business.
entitlements.
It was built on entrepreneurship. And so as it pertains to housing, We're being very focused on that, and even some that receive HUD funding to make sure, like our Section 3, when you receive HUD funding, that you are given opportunities for the most vulnerable Americans that you serve to have work, to have opportunities to work, to have work requirements. Work requirements are not a bad word. That's a great word. Time limits is
Absolutely.
a great word. To incentivize people, able-bodied, able-minded people to work. And I believe that we are, under your leadership, sir, changing that conversation in America to where working is an honorable thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. And it's a very good thing. And a lot of people are pissed off about it because they're losing their benefits. they're getting forced off of welfare, especially those who have children over the age of 14 and they're able-bodied. You got to get to work. It's about damn time, too. A lot of people are happy about it. Everybody who's working they're happy about it, at least. So this is from Rapid Response 47 with regard to DNI Tulsi Gabbard at the cabinet meeting. And of course, they quote her, as Rapid Response usually does. So I'll just play it out here.
Yes, sir. As we approach Labor Day weekend here, this is just such a great opportunity really to recognize your leadership as a true champion for working people. And I know we'll hear as we go around the table here how your focus singularly on putting the well-being and interests of the American people first is that common thread that we're seeing in your policies being implemented across your administration. For ODNI, number one, our focus is and must always be making sure that our intelligence community is focused on our mission, keeping the American people safe, secure, and free. We're doing great work on this front. I'll point out our National Counterterrorism Center, led by Director Joe Kent, are working across different agencies with Homeland Security, DEA, FBI, and others to catch terrorists, both those who are trying to come into our country, those who may already be in our country. They are finding the worst of the cartel bosses and making sure that they're not able to continue to wreak havoc and terror in our communities. Secondly, Mr. President, you have charged me with the mission of finding the truth and telling the truth to the American people. And we've exposed some of the worst examples of the weaponization of intelligence in the last several weeks. I will continue down that mission and that path,
God
wherever
willing.
it leads. Transparency, telling the truth is what will drive true accountability for the American people who deserve nothing less. And lastly, Mr. President, all of us are charged with being good stewards of taxpayer dollars. I've gone through a reorganization for ODNI that we've announced in the last week.
Yeah, downsizing.
We've cut nearly half of redundant, unnecessary functions within ODNI, saving taxpayers over $700 million a year. We will continue focusing on our core mission in keeping the American people safe, and appreciate your leadership and your focus on this most critical task.
Yeah, dude, Tulsi Gabbard, she frankly surprised me. She's absolutely crushing that job. It is amazing, the work that she's doing in the DNI. That's awesome. So this is from DOJ spokesperson and the official account of the Justice Department's Office of Public Affairs. And share this video with anyone questioning POTUS's federal action to make D.C. safe. Let's check this out.
Would you like to mention what happened?
Of course.
Turn it up a little bit.
You want to listen to this?
For having me here to share my story to the room and to the broader public. My name is Iris Tao. I'm a White House correspondent for NTD, the sister media of the Epoch Times. So more than 2 years ago, it was a Saturday morning in broad daylight. I was on my way to work, and a young man with a black ski mask pointed a gun at my face and threatened me to hand over my phone, my wallet, my laptop, and everything else. And when I refused, he used the butt of his handgun to strike me across the face, in the cheek, or what some people call pistol whip me, before running away. And that has deeply traumatized myself and my family. Ever since, I've never dared to walk in the street of DC at night, ever. And my family was extremely worried. So, Mr. President, thank you so much for what you're doing right now.
Thank you for being
Wow, man, what a story.
Such incidents involved not just me, but also my family. If he had shot me, I could have died right there in the middle of nowhere without my families or my friends knowing at the age of back then, I think 23.
Right.
Just starting my career here.
Damn, that was recent.
Without even starting a family. Right now, I'm very blessed to have this opportunity.
So you had a gun pointed at your head, and you probably figured that he's going to pull the trigger because these are animals that don't know what the hell. They couldn't care less. The pulling the trigger to him is a very minor event, and I'm sure
means
he's
nothing
done it
to him.
before. So how did you And you did refuse to give it, which would probably, maybe somebody would say that was not the right decision, right? But you refused, but I understand that. So,
Yeah, I mean.
So, and then he hit you real hard.
People react differently.
It's really amazing that you weren't shot, though, isn't it?
Oh, yeah,
I'm very
for sure.
blessed, and that's why having this opportunity to stand here to share my story today. One, I'm very grateful for God for allowing me to still survive to this day, but also to Mr. President. Thank you for now making DC safer.
Thank you very much.
For us, for our families, for my parents, on my behalf of my parents, and now my baby on the way. Thank you so much.
Oh, wow. Well, even members of the press, she's not the only one, but when President Trump first made that announcement earlier this month that they were going to start patrolling D.C., he made that apparent. He said there's even members right here in this room of the press corps that have been victimized by D.C. crime at one point or another. Of course, none of them are going to admit it, at least not right here. But yeah, I mean, she came forward, obviously, just now and gave her story. And man, that is horrifying. That's scary as hell, man. Just that. I mean, yeah, thank God he didn't pull the trigger, obviously. But yeah, man, that's wild. So that's good. It's good that they're cracking down on it. Everybody's happy. Everybody except the Democrats, they're not happy about it. Of course they're not happy about it because they started all this shit. And they want crime to be just absolutely out of control, although I can't really figure out why. I'm still trying to figure out why exactly they want crime to be rampant all over the city. But for whatever reason, I guess they just want to watch the world burn and want to watch the city just crumble and collapse and just fall into just utter oblivion, I guess. So that way in the ashes, they could rebuild into their communist utopia, which is what they've been gunning for probably decades at this point. All right, so this is from Homeland Security. Watch Secretary Noam update President Trump's cabinet on the latest developments from DHS.
Christy?
Uh-oh, that's a little
Mr.
loud.
President, first of
Uh-oh.
all, thank
All
you
right,
for
all right,
the
we're good.
opportunity to work for you. And you committed when you ran for president to make America safe again. And today, the average family and individual that lives in this country is safer than they've been in years because of what you've done. We've got 3 months in a row now with 0 illegal aliens coming into this country, and I want to thank Pete and the Department of Defense for all of their help. They're down at the border with us still, helping us keep that border secure and make sure we know who's coming into this country. You've arrested and brought to justice hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens, of criminals that have perpetuated violence against American people. Sir, you had 1.6 million people voluntarily go home to their home countries that were here in this country illegally. Because of your strong message and you enforcing the law, they decided to go home on their own so that they could come back the right way someday and be American citizens. But what I think is one of the most remarkable statistics is that under Joe Biden's administration, 88% of new jobs went to foreign-born individuals.
Crazy.
Under your administration, 2.5 Americans have jobs today that they didn't under the previous administration. And they have those jobs because you created opportunities.
2.5 million? Is that what she meant?
You made this country safe. You opened up the economy. You enforced the law. Now people can get up and provide for their families and go to work every day and be confident in that. And the last thing I would say is that it's incredibly
There's that journalist over here
that
in the
every
corner.
one of those illegal aliens that has gone home, they were costing us about $8,700 to $9,000 a piece in what they were taking out of our social programs, out of Social Security. You've saved this country billions of dollars, about $15 billion, just in what those illegal aliens were costing us in social programs.
Yeah, and the Democrats say that the Trump administration is stealing benefits away from innocent people who really desperately need these benefits. Of course, they leave that out all the time, talking about the illegal immigrants.
Over 450 different contracts at the Department of Homeland Security. We're getting rid of corrupt ones that were not efficient for taxpayers, weren't focused on our mission of keeping us safe. And we've also renegotiated and brought in our biggest vendors that said you have to do better. And we've saved the taxpayers over $13 billion doing that as well. So we're continuing to be accountable to taxpayer dollars, but sir, focused on doing the mission of what you've committed, and that's to keep us safe and to make sure we put Americans first.
Well, great job, and great job on the border. We had millions and millions of people coming in. To think 3 months in a row, 0.
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. Now, I just finally had a couple of minutes to look this up. This isn't really the best time to bring this up, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I watched that South Park episode that that had Kristi Noem in it that came out a couple of weeks ago. And I was wondering, why the hell does she keep shooting dogs in South Park? Is there some controversy that has to do, like, did she like kill some neighbor's dog or something at some point in her life? Well, not exactly. So the reference to Secretary Kristi Noem shooting dogs in South Park is a satirical joke based on a real controversial story she published in her 2024 memoir, No Going Back. In the book, she recounts shooting and killing her 14-month-old dog, Cricket, on her farm in rural South Dakota. The South Park episode satirizes this event by depicting her repeatedly shooting dogs in various situations. But so she, in her memoir, she described the wire-haired pointer as untrainable and having an aggressive personality. And the situation came to a head when the dog attacked and killed a neighbor's chickens during a hunting trip. So that's why she put her dog down. And yeah, South Park kind of took that and ran with it a little excessively, I would admit. But I mean, they did it. That's what South Park does. They like to push things as far as they can push it. But all right, anyway, yeah, I haven't had a moment to actually look that up. And that just happened to come to mind when I saw Kristi Noem there talking and was like, you know what, I'm going to actually bring this up because I have no idea why they were doing that in South Park, but now I know. And I guess perhaps you know too if you happen to see it. Anyway, so it looks like we're going to move on to the next overall part of the video, just other things that are going on. Looks like that we're at the end of the cabinet meeting, which, yeah, that actually did take up quite a bit of time, but that was probably the big story of the day. I mean, it was 3 hours and 17 minutes long, so that was a hell of a long cabinet meeting, and the press was in there for the entire thing. So, of course, that's going to be all over the place as far as the news goes. I don't know about left-wing news, but all right. So anyway, we're going to move on to Senator Marsha Blackburn. The only people who are hurting are those suffering under the far left's reign of terror in Chicago. You have failed to achieve justice for the law-abiding citizens that have faced the consequences of soft-on-crime policies pushed by radical Democrats like you. And of course, she's referencing Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois. To Donald Trump and his administration, if you hurt my people, nothing will stop me, not time or political circumstance, from making sure you face justice under our constitutional rule of law. So, and yeah, anyway, I'm just going to move on past that. I would read the comments, but I got a lot of stuff to get through. So this is from Veterans Affairs. On Women's Equality Day, we honor the women who came before us and you. Today, we reaffirm our commitment to veteran-centered health care for women. Now, I don't know how long this is, so I will at least take a look at it. It's a bit lengthy. It's from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. So I'm going to put it in the description if you want to check this out, Office of Women's Health. I'll just play a few seconds of it just so we can at least get an idea of what they're talking about here. Introduction to the Office of Women's Health.
Fastest growing segment of the veteran population. With over 900,000
900,000
2024, the Department of Veterans Affairs
a lot of enrolled women
delivering the comprehensive, high-quality health care that our veterans deserve. Enrolled women veterans have access to the full continuum of healthcare, from preventive health to long-term care. Care extends beyond primary care to include gynecologic care, maternity care, fertility services, breast health, menopause care, and more, all delivered in a safe, supportive environment.
I'm actually surprised Secretary Rollins, right? I'm trying to, or Collins. Was it Secretary Collins? I don't know, man. There's so many that, well, I mean, there's always so many that it's hard to keep track of them. But anyway, I'll link that in the description. I'm surprised he actually didn't bring that up, but maybe he did at some point during the meeting. I'm assuming for the most part, all those video clips that we saw were probably their opening remarks before they started going around the table and talking about issues and exchanging ideas and doing what they do in the cabinet meetings, which, by the way, that was the 7th one that they've had so far this year. So it looks like they're still meeting on a monthly basis. So let's move on to U.S. Commerce Department. Secretary Howard Lutnick on the trade deficit. In 1985, we owned $140 billion more in assets in the rest of the world net than they owned of us. And today, the rest of the world owns 24 trillion more of America than we own of them. We have exported our money, and they are buying America out from under us. And President Trump is here to stop that leakage. Thank God.
Most countries in this world subsidize
fucking crazy,
their
man.
important industries. And we are the least at that. We didn't tariff and protect, and we didn't subsidize. And what happened? We had a $1.2 trillion trade deficit that was exporting our economy to other people.
Unreal.
Here's one of my favorite statistics. In 1985, we owned $140 billion more assets in the rest of the world net than they owned of us. And today, the rest of the world owns $24 trillion more of America than we own of them. We have exported our money, and they are buying America out from under us. And Donald Trump is here to stop that leakage.
Yeah, we're cooked. We're so screwed, man. I mean, there's so many problems happening in the economy. That's something I didn't even know. Probably nobody knows that. And just looking at that, looking at the national deficit, the trade deficit, and just like the Trans-Pacific Partnership that happened and all these other just bullshit trade deals that they did, exporting all of our jobs overseas. And it's just one thing after another. It's like it never ends. But hopefully we're turning things around. At least Trump's doing all he can do. He's doing, I would say he's done probably more in the last 7 months than probably the last 3 presidents combined have done, at least for the American people. At least so it would seem. So from Howard Lutnick, the current H-1B visa system is a scam that lets foreign workers fill American job opportunities. Hiring American workers should be the priority of all great American businesses, and now is the time to hire American.
I'm involved in changing the H-1B program, right? We're going to change that program because that's terrible, right? We're going to change the
yeah, that'd be nice if they do.
We give green cards. The average American makes $75,000 a year, and the average green card recipient, $66,000. So we're taking the bottom quartile. Like, why are we doing that? That's why Donald Trump is going to change it. That's the gold card that's coming. And that's we're going to start picking the best people to come into this country. It's time for that to change.
Absolutely ridiculous, man. That's the way it always should have been. The ones with the highest merit, the ones that can contribute the most, and also those who come here from out of the country are filling jobs that need filled, and we're not finding enough Americans to fill those jobs. That's the way it always should have been from day one, and I'm sure once upon a time it was exactly that. That was probably the whole purpose for the H-1B visas. Bring in the ones who we need, who we actually need, not the ones who just want to come in and we just got a quota that we have to meet. Anyway, from J.D. Vance, few things. Antonin Scalia was a great Supreme Court justice and a genuinely kind and decent person. Number 2, the president's executive order is consistent with Texas v. Johnson. I believe he's talking about the burning of the American flag. And number 3, Texas v. Johnson was wrong and William Rehnquist was right. So I'm going to read a couple of comments with regard to this. I didn't leave a comment. I don't believe I did. But Scalia did not die of natural causes. The Constitution is not a living organism. It's a legal document, and it says what it says and doesn't say what it doesn't say. And also, of course, we've seen that one before. Just a couple of memes here and there. The creation, this is a quote in Texas v. Johnson, quote, the creation of a federal right to post bulletin boards and graffiti on the Washington Monument might enlarge the market for free expression, but at a cost I would not pay. From William Rehnquist, Texas v. Johnson. And let's see, spot on with the take. Antonin Scalia was a titan. His originalist backbone reshaped the judiciary, and that Medal of Freedom was well deserved. The executive order lining up with Texas v. Johnson makes total sense, and I'm with you. Rehnquist nailed it in his dissent. Don't like the flag executive order? Tough. I don't really care, commies. Now, I get what, like Matt Walsh, I read his post yesterday on yesterday's episode, and he says that he's perfectly fine with it as long as it's a two-way street, because apparently burning the LGBT flag is a hate crime, but burning the American flag is perfectly acceptable. Like, that's not a hate crime at all. And yeah, it doesn't make sense, but yeah, leveling the playing field. Now, I would never burn any flag for that matter, and I don't advocate for burning any flag in any way, shape, or form. I think to each his own. But yeah, I mean, I understand what they're saying. Let's see, people want to be butthurt because they feel a certain way. Reading comprehension is gone. Most definitely protect our flag, and so on and so forth. Of course, more distraction for the Epsteinth time. Of course, you've got progressives down here leaving their 2 cents, of course. Kind of surprised me, the sheer volume of people who did not read the actual executive order. If you didn't, please do, or just read the highlighted part below. All right, let's read it. My administration will act to restore respect and sanctity to the American flag and prosecute those who incite violence or otherwise violate our laws while desecrating this symbol for our country. to the fullest extent permissible under any available authority. See, that's what I interpreted when I heard about the executive order too, that it would be burning the flag while trying to incite violence or trying to rally people up to cause damage, to riot, to cause unrest, whether if it's widespread or if it's just a small group of people. And like if you buy an American flag and you burn the American flag, you know, doing your own thing, and you're not trying to incite any kind of violence, which, I mean, it's kind of hard to go into somebody's mind to determine the operation of their mind, whether if they intended on inciting violence or not. I guess that's kind of up in the air. But if it's your own, frankly, I don't really have a problem with it because it is free expression. It is covered under the First Amendment. And by starting to implement laws that we're not allowed to destroy personal property, whatever it might be, I mean, it's just not something I'm really cool with, but I don't know, convince me otherwise. But I do know, at least with flag code, if your flag is beyond use, if it's tattered and torn up, you're supposed to separate all the colors and then put them into their own piles, if you will, and you're supposed to burn it. At least that's what I believe the flag code says, or you can bury it. You can bury it or you can burn it, but you're not supposed to throw the flag in the trash can. But there's also organizations, I believe the VFW, pretty much every VFW, if I'm not mistaken, if you have a flag that you are no longer flying because it's all ripped up, it's all used and, you know, in bad shape, you can give it to them and they'll take care of it on your behalf. So, all right, anyway, let's get back to the main list here. And we're going to go to Kush Desi, Rep Arrington. Oh, by the way, he is the White House Deputy Press Secretary. And Rep Arrington on Secretary Kennedy's leadership on Texas measles outbreak. Quote, "This is what good leadership looks like. Not command and control, but compassion and service. Not someone who thinks they have all the answers, but someone who seeks first to understand." And this is from the Washington Examiner. I remember hearing about a Texas measles outbreak, and it sounds like Secretary Kennedy got it more or less eradicated or at least clamped down. But anyway, the world has witnessed a concerning surge of measles. In Europe, they reported 127,000 cases in 2024 alone, the highest number recorded on the continent since 97. In Canada, 4,586 cases have been documented in 24 and 25, while Mexico has almost 4,000 to date. And on January 17th, 3 days before Trump assumed office, the Houston Health Department reported 2 confirmed measles cases, marking the first case in Texas since 23. And let's see, they remain largely, left-leaning media outlets were quick to criticize Trump over the cases in Texas. They remain largely silent about the 383% nationwide increase in measles between 23 and 24 under Biden, including Illinois' largest measles outbreak since 1990, and linked to a migrant shelter in Chicago. Oh, great. So we basically imported measles against the will of the American people. So let's see, led by HHS, Secretary Robert Kennedy met the moment, prompt, aggressive, and wholly effective. And this week, thanks to the Secretary's leadership and tireless work, Texas health officials declared the outbreak over. So the outbreak is over in Texas, and they get into quite a bit of detail. If you're in Texas or if this concerns you in any way, if you want to check it out, it will be down in the description. It'll start with Washington Examiner. That might be the only Washington Examiner article I'm going to be looking at today. So if you want to check it out in the description and read the whole thing for yourself, more than welcome to do so. It's down there. And from Secretary Chris Wright, also replying to Secretary Chris Wright, not sure. There it is. President Trump is relaunching the American nuclear industry. The nuclear renaissance has been talked about for 20 years, but the president is making it happen. The Department of Energy just authorized the first U.S. company to produce commercial fuel for nuclear reactors. And this is the article that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. And I believe I have that right, that they're going to be manufacturing fuel rods, I think, with regard to facilities. But here, I'll just read the first part here. It's got a video, which I plan on playing. The nuclear industry in Oak Ridge has been steadily growing over the past few years. Many companies are moving to the area to build nuclear reactors to power the nation, but with so many reactors popping up, there has to be a way to fuel them. Triso-X, a subsidiary of X Energy, is currently working to create a first-in-the-nation fuel fabrication facility to power reactors across the country. Quote, we're investing over $900 million in providing this fuel production capability here in East Tennessee. And it goes on from there. So I'll just check out this video here because I would read the quotes, but they're going to quote them in the video, I'm sure. So we'll just give this a play.
New tonight, with the Trump administration's push for more
Crank this
American-made
up.
nuclear reactors, Oak Ridge has seen a ton of new industry, but not all businesses are building reactors. Anderson County reporter Emily Crabtree spoke with one company that's fueling the nuclear energy.
It's no secret the nuclear industry is growing in Oak Ridge, but with so many nuclear reactors popping up, there has to be some way to fuel them, which is why Triso-X is creating the first in the nation fuel fabrication facility.
We're making great progress here in Oak Ridge on land that was previously part of the DOE reservation.
Nuclear company Triso-X is one of many companies making their mark on the K-25 heritage site.
We're investing over $900 million in providing this fuel production capability here in East Tennessee, and it'll generate over 500 jobs with our first facility alone. We're already looking at building a second facility at the same location here in Oak Ridge, Tennessee,
Nice.
which will have twice the capacity and
Build.
1,000 jobs that are brought with that second facility.
Experts say this is a huge step closer to putting the U.S. back on top of the nuclear industry.
East Tennessee is where we're going to realize this and lead the country and then eventually the world in really demonstrating what we can do, and X Energy and Triso-X are a key part of that landscape.
Triso-X is also working with a newer form of fuel.
But it's far more efficient and it's far safer of a fuel system. That's allowed for our nuclear reactor design to be a much simpler design with passive safety systems, allowing for modular construction and quicker deployment out into the field.
And they're getting support from others.
Everybody in the industry is very much rooting for X Energy as well as all of the advanced nuclear companies, and just looking for opportunities to accelerate that timescale while not cutting any corners in terms of safety.
For now, the facility will fuel the nation's first commercial-scale small modular reactor out of Seadrift, Texas. But the
Nice,
company
man.
says they're very excited for what the future holds. Now, I'll send things
Oh, big
back to
time.
you.
They're about to make a lot of money.
Also says they have awarded a $48 million contract to Clark Construction to build that first facility. They say construction will hopefully begin sometime next month.
All right. Yep. They're building. Construction begins next month. I want to say that the first facility, unless I misread it, I thought I read somewhere that the initial facility that they're building, that they're going to begin production in September. But perhaps I read that wrong, that it plans to start construction on the first facility in September. Okay, I did read that wrong. All right, so I'm glad I went and looked at the bottom there. So yeah, so they're in the process of leveling out the land. They're getting ready to start building that facility. So that's great news because we need all the energy we can get, especially with Trump blowing up our AI infrastructure to this crazy degree with these hundreds of billions, probably trillions of dollars in total being invested in AI. It's very, very, very heavily reliant on energy. And if we depend on windmills and solar panels, all of our electricity is going to go way, way up on the individual level. And I don't know about you, but I kind of can barely afford electricity as it is. So that'd be nice to see more and more nuclear just build out and build out and build out. So the more the better. Anyway, that's good news. So again, that's also going to be in the description if you want to read that article in its entirety. So from Secretary Lori Chavez de Raymer, AI literacy is the key to opportunity for the workforce of the future. Thank you, the First Lady of the United States, for taking action to ensure American workers are equipped with the AI skills needed to thrive. Sign up for the AI Challenge today at AI.gov, and I'll also link that, of course. And this is from the First Lady, Melania Trump. Let's hear what she has to say. Real quick, let me scale this down because it might be a bit loud. All right, let's go.
Are you ready for an AI challenge? Take part in this nationwide initiative to discover, develop, and expand AI's potential. As someone who created an AI-powered audiobook and championed online safety through the Take It Down Act, I've seen firsthand the promise of this powerful technology. Now, I pass the torch of innovation to you.
Yeah, I use it
Just as
often.
America
Every day,
once
actually.
led the world into the skies, we are poised to lead again. This time, in the age of AI. The President's National Artificial Intelligence Challenge invites every student in America, from kindergarten to 12th grade, to unleash their imagination and showcase the spirit of American innovation. Our educators will guide and empower you through this process to build a brighter, stronger future for us all. Visit ai.gov to register today.
All right.
Good luck.
I was gonna be like I was waiting for her to say, in fact, this video of me is AI. But it's my real voice. I'm narrating it, but this is an AI of me. But no, it's not. Obviously it's not. But yeah, I mean, like, I use AI to clean up my thumbnails for all my YouTube videos. I use AI, I use an AI app to generate images, like my wallpaper. Like, that was, I mean, obviously that's AI. But yeah, I've got a bunch of different, where did it go? I've got a bunch of those different images. They change on my desktop every half hour. I think I got like a couple hundred of those photos, but I mean, I've generated like thousands and thousands of AI images just because it's fun to do. I like doing it. And like on my X profile, like I've got a bunch of, here, let me go over to this one. I have a bunch of AI images of future cities. I kind of have this fascination with future cities, and I've got a, actually, let me just search by this. Yeah, I enjoy making, I probably posted like, I don't know, a couple of thousand of them at this point on X. I used to post them every day. Throughout the night hours, I used to schedule them ahead of time. Oh, there's only showing a few of them, but oh well. Yeah, there's one for an example. And that's another one, just all AI generated. You just put in a text prompt and you tell it what to generate, and it generates accordingly. But yeah, I'm actually surprised it's only showing a few. I mean, I've got like thousands of them on here, but most of them I didn't give a label, so that's probably why they're not going to pop up. But anyway, all right. So yeah, the AI challenge, man. Let's take the AI challenge, especially school-age kids. It's definitely essential because AI ain't going anywhere. It's only building up more and more. All right, from Secretary Doug Burgum, despite hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer subsidies, wind and solar are still intermittent, unreliable, and unable to power our electrical grid.
Our grid across the country so over-rotated towards the renewables. We've had times here in the northeastern part of the U.S. with the PJM grid, which think of it from the Pentagon
Same with
to
Texas,
Wall Street,
too.
where we've had days here on the super hot days and the super cold days this year where only 2% of all the electricity was coming from wind and solar. 70% from fossil fuels, 22% from nuclear. In spite of the hundreds of billions of dollars of subsidies, they're not reliable, they're intermittent, they aren't going to work for us to be able to power our country going forward.
Yeah, unbelievable waste of money. I mean, they've wasted probably trillions of dollars at this point, and nobody's seen a penny's reduction on our electric bill. And that's what the Democrats kept promising us, that we're going to get relief on our electric bills if we just build everything made out of solar panels and batteries and wind turbines. But the reference I made to Texas, which I thought he was going to mention in the Northeast, was that they were having outages, which they had in Texas because of that ice storm that they experienced a couple years back, where a ton of those turbines froze up, and they actually had to be not fully rebuilt, but apparently some of the working components inside a lot of those turbines broke because oh man, I'm trying to remember back. It had to do with like the lubricant freezing up or something like that, and it messed them all up. So they had to maintain them or take them apart and rebuild them, I guess. So anyway, so this is from Trump Truth Social posts on X. As the president of the United States, I will stand up to countries that attack our incredible American tech companies. Digital taxes and digital services legislation and digital markets regulations are all designed to harm or discriminate against American technology. They also outrageously give a complete pass to China's largest tech companies. This must end and end now. With this truth, I put all countries with digital taxes, legislation, rules, or regulations on notice that unless these discriminatory actions are removed, I, as President of the United States, will impose substantial additional tariffs on that country's exports to the USA and institute export restrictions on our highly protected technology and chips. America and American technology companies are neither the piggy bank or the doormat of the world any longer. Show respect to America and our amazing tech companies, or consider the consequences. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. And that was posted yesterday evening, 8:31 p.m. on August 25th. And we'll just move directly on to the next one from the White House. Investment alert. Hyundai is increasing its investment to $26 billion following the president's meeting with South Korean President Lee Jae-myung, which was yesterday when they met. That's the Trump effect. So obviously the meeting went well. And then moving down to Rapid Response 47, big beautiful bill will save taxpayers from paying millions to fund Medicaid for dead people. Absolutely ridiculous, man. That they just keep dumping money into people who are they're not living anymore. They're dead. They're not here anymore. And it's almost certainly in the billions of dollars. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me at all if it really were that much. I believe that this was the article, right? Yeah. So state and federal officials ought to be doing everything they can to protect their hard-earned dollars from being used improperly or illegally. Let's see. Is this an opinion? I don't know. It kind of looks like that way. So 2 new reports illustrate why Congress needed to act to boost program integrity efforts in the Obamacare exchanges and in Medicaid. After 4 years where the Biden administration prioritized enrolling people in government-funded health coverage over any other priority, taxpayers may finally get a dose of some sanity. And they have what's called ghost enrollees. First data point came via the Federal Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, which released data from exchange insurers' risk adjustment submissions. The spreadsheet contains enough numbers to make one's head spin, but 2 sets of numbers, line 4 and 7 of the spreadsheet, stand out. Let's see what they're talking about. 4 and 7. Are they talking about these lines? Line 4 and line 7? Oh, yeah, here we go. 4,117,813 enrollees, 4.1 million. And then line 7, silver, 3 million enrollees. Silver variant. Let's see. Total number of enrollees. Whoa, 11.6 million. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. So that was 24. That's in total, right? All right. Yeah. I mean, I don't fully understand the grasp as to what I'm looking at, but I think if I spend some time looking at this, it'll start to make more sense, of course. But I mean, they've got all the different states individual, but they have it categorized bronze, silver, gold, platinum. And then they have a catastrophic category. I wasn't familiar with Obamacare having a catastrophic category, but I applied without any intention in getting Obamacare. I just wanted to see, just out of curiosity, how much it was. I was like 35 years old at the time, and this was maybe 6 years ago, give or take. I mean, that's when I was 35, so I'm assuming it was around that time. And I applied for the Platinum plan just to get a price quote, and I was quoted $1,500 a month for Platinum. Now, Platinum under Obamacare, that means that your primary care doctor is $20. Your a specialist visit is $35. Immediate care is $50. ER visits $100, and inpatient, no matter how long you're there, is $250, and that's it. There's no deductibles. There's no like you got to pay up to $8,000 before it's fully covered. None of that bullshit. It's just straight up the exact same insurance that so many of us had before Obamacare rolled out. You know, back in the 2000s, I had that exact same healthcare plan, and I was paying, like, for my wife and I, it was like $180 a month, maybe $150 a month for all of that. Like $100 to the emergency room. That's it. Don't have to pay a dime more than that. Same with inpatient. Anyway, all right. So I will link this if you want to check out this spreadsheet that they're talking about. And so let's see, lines 4 and 7 of the spreadsheet that I just looked at, those 2 lines show that the percentage of enrollees in bronze and heavily subsidized silver plans without claims rose from roughly 1/4, 23%, 29% and 23% respectively in 2019 to 40% last year. To some, that change may not seem like a big deal. Let's see. but it suggests that after 4 years of the Biden administration policies, a growing number of individuals were being auto-enrolled and automatically re-enrolled into taxpayer-funded, quote, free health coverage that they did not want, need, or use. And it also means insurers had a slew of enrollees on their hands for whom they received premium payments funded by taxpayers, of course, and yet didn't have to pay out a single cent in claims. So will 40% of Americans not go to the doctor at all or pick up a single prescription this year? I doubt it. For all Democrats' tough talk about insurance companies the last 4 years look like a gravy train for insurers on the exchanges. Yeah, not only that, but we all know how much our health insurance has gone up. It's gone up substantially. Everything has. I mean, homeowners, auto insurance, everything. Even daycare insurance. Like, if you wonder why it's costing $1,500 to put a child into daycare these days, which it's on the high end for most people, and that would probably pertain to like a 3-month-old. But still, $1,500 a month. A lot of the main reason for that is because the insurance cost, the insurance premiums for daycare providers has just absolutely skyrocketed. So, but anyway, this will be in the description if you want to check out the details with that. And moving on to GOP, today we honor the 13 U.S. service members that were killed at Abbey Gate in Kabul, Afghanistan 4 years ago. Their courage, sacrifice, and service will never be forgotten. May God bless our heroes. And a huge tragedy. Not only were they killed, but there were hundreds of Afghans who were also killed in that terrorist attack. And it was completely unnecessary. It was unnecessary. I mean, they rushed that. They wanted to do the withdrawal in the middle of a major city, which made no sense whatsoever. But anyway, today marks 4 years since that tragedy happened over in Afghanistan. And moving on to Rapid Response 47, just in, Secretary Duffy announces enforcement actions against California, New Mexico, and Washington for failing to comply with the Trump administration's English language proficiency standards for commercial truck drivers.
We are not going to tolerate states that don't comply with the rules that come from this department. And so we are going to, first of all, we've identified several states that have not been in compliance. That would be Washington, California, and New Mexico. Those are the three states that have not complied with this rule, which, by the way, this driver in Florida had received a CDL
from 2
in Washington
and California,
and was pulled over in July for speeding, and no doubt couldn't speak English language. Law enforcement in New Mexico did not take his rig out of service.
What?
So this one driver touched all 3 states. Based on our review, they are not complying with.
So in other words, he was all over the country. He was crisscrossing the country constantly, probably. I mean, he was way over here in Florida. Florida's not exactly bordering those 3 states.
Our rule. And so phase 1 for us, which I'm announcing today, is we are going to give these states 30 days to come into compliance with truck drivers speaking proficiently the English language, or we're going to look at federal funding that they receive under the Motor Carrier Safety Assistance Program.
Yeah, they don't want to mess with that.
California is
that's a big one.
20 million or 30 million? 30 million. Washington is 10 million, and New Mexico is 7 million. Jesse will confirm that in a second. But these are millions of dollars. By the way, this is phase 1. There are other actions that we can take to make sure states comply. And hopefully in the next 30 days, we won't have to withhold any money from them. But if they don't come into compliance, we will start with withholding this money, and then we will take additional steps to guarantee compliance.
Good grief, man. Talk about the most common sense thing ever, the most basic ass common sense thing ever. If you want to drive a vehicle, you should be proficient in English, because we got to know that you can read fucking road signs. And it's not just the stop signs and the yield signs. You also have to read those overhead messages with regard to fog is ahead, or, I mean, not just that, but of course they display those silver alerts and the amber alerts and stuff, but they display important information on those things all the time, those overhead screens when you're on a highway. You got to be able to read some of that shit just to know that there might be danger ahead or stop traffic ahead, especially if you drive a fucking semi, a rolling missile, basically. And yeah, that's just appalling that they're not complying with it. But he is giving them 30 days. Maybe they're getting to it, but it sounds to me like they're gonna have to pull in an awful lot of truck drivers. I don't know if they're gonna pull in all of them. I wonder how they're gonna go through with implementing that to make sure that they're up to the standards that they need to be. But it sounds like they're about to get a lot of CDLs yanked. And if that's the case, that opens up the door to anybody out there. If you're looking to be a truck driver, there's going to be a lot of people hiring truck drivers, especially in those 3 states. Either that or they're just going to have to eat that funding, which he said that that's only stage 1 or phase 1. So there might be more heavy penalties, sanctions, what have you, down the road. So I guess we'll have to keep track of that. And from Christopher Landau, since, let me see, he's the deputy secretary, let's see, proud son of a diplomat and former U.S. ambassador to Mexico, honored to serve my country's 23rd deputy secretary at the State Department. Okay. So anyway, since 1965, our country's immigration laws have allowed the State Department to require recipients of U.S. visas to post a monetary bond to incentivize their timely return to home countries. Until now, however, no administration has exercised this statutory authority. After decades of lax immigration enforcement, that has now changed under the administration of President Trump. We created a mechanism for visitors from designated countries with high overstay rates to post visa bonds of up to $15,000, which are essentially refundable deposits that visa recipients can recoup upon returning home. The first countries subject to such bonds are Zambia and Malawi, and last week, a visa recipient from Zambia posted the first bond under the new regulations. We're delighted to welcome qualified visitors to our country, but we're also determined to ensure that they go home on time. And they have more information at travel.state.gov, and that'll be in the description too. Just take a look at that if you feel like reading into that further. And this is from Lee Zeldin. At the Trump EPA, no issue is too large for us to tackle and no issue is too small. We may have inherited a ridiculously massive mess, but our team is enthusiastic about spending all day, every day, fixing all of it.
When we take action to stop that really annoying start-stop feature on cars, or to make gas cans flow faster, or to reverse the annoying the terribly flawed deratements on diesel exhaust fluid systems, or getting water flowing faster, there are Americans out there like, none of that matters. Why are you focusing on these little things? Well, maybe it doesn't matter to you.
No, like it does matter because all those little things add up. There's the average vehicle today has 30,000 parts that are assembled into the average vehicle in America, and a lot of these parts are regulation parts and emissions and all that nonsense that they've been piling into these cars over the last decade. And if you're wondering why cars are on average approaching $50,000 and why the standard light pickup truck has to get over 40 miles to the gallon, it's because of the EPA, which is who Lee Zeldin is overseeing. And he's talking about rolling back a lot of those standards. And I couldn't be happier because our new cars are built like shit. There's tons of stories on social media, whether if it's YouTube, TikTok, probably Instagram and other places, where people are talking about buying brand new cars and they're just repeatedly breaking down, or there's issues. The screens go black, or the car won't start, or there's like a whole myriad of different things. And that's not even including the number of recalls, which of course Ford, they've been leading the number of recalls over the last 5 years in a row. And it's getting worse. Like every single automaker has tons of recalls out there right now because they're building cars like shit because of the EPA in part set up all these standards, especially during the Biden administration. And I'm just glad to hear that even if it's something small as like some diesel regulator or water temperature stabilizer or whatever the hell, whatever it is, if the EPA is involved with regulating it, it's music to my ears to hear that he's getting rid of it.
But each of those things I just mentioned matter to millions of Americans, and there's no issue that's too small. There's no issue that's too large. We will do, I mean, what we were just talking about, the endangerment finding is the largest deregulatory action, the single greatest deregulatory action in the history of the United States of America. Collectively, all of the deregulation that we will do in 1 year is more deregulation in 1 year than entire federal governments across entire agencies, across entire presidencies.
God, I hope so.
And we want to get
Let's
it right.
go,
We're
man.
going out to public comment. We're not saying, to the point you just referenced from that book, we're not saying, in this perch that we know best. We want to go to the public, solicit your comments, participate in the process, and we want to get it right at the end. But what we're putting out for proposal right now are many dozens of different decisions that would end up resulting in the largest deregulatory action in the history of the country. And
I hope so.
We're proud of it because we're heeding those economic concerns, choosing both. Yes, protecting the environment and growing the economy.
Yeah, and hopefully the automakers will oblige, and then they'll start rolling back a lot of this crap, these emission standards and the like all these EGR valves and all this shit that they've been putting on engines and inside motor vehicles for years at this point. Hopefully they'll start manufacturing stuff with less of that crap in it, because if they do, then our cars might not only come down a bit in value, or in cost, I mean. Hopefully, not only that, but they'll be more reliable and they'll last longer. Like the vehicles they built like back in the 1990s and the 2000s, a lot of those vehicles, hell, they'll still be on the road. 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 miles. And I don't know, man. I don't think that a 2025 anything is probably going to still be on the road in 30 years, but that's just me. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, from DEA Miami, U.S. Coast Guard cutter Hamilton offloaded more than 61,000 pounds of cocaine and 16,000 pounds of marijuana this morning, worth approximately $475 million. The joint agency effort represents the largest total contraband offload in Coast Guard history. Holy shit. That is a lot of drugs. That's a lot of snow. And just some images from this event. I guess you could call it a ceremonious event. I mean, that's probably all coke. That's all cocaine. The square groupers. They got him before they fell into the ocean and washed up on the beach. But yeah, good news, man. That is a ton, literally a ton. That's like what? Hold on, 61,000. What is that? Like 30 fucking tons. 30 tons. Holy shit. All right. So from Defense News, Air and Space Force budgets seek to boost weapons and cut civilian jobs. So this is from defensenews.com. Air Space Force budgets seek to boost weapons, cut civilian jobs, and new weapons and improved technology are at the forefront of budget priorities for the U.S. Air Force and Space Force, while the spending plans also seek to slash more than 5,700 civilian jobs and reduce contracting services through billions in spending cuts. Look, that's good for the taxpayer. And nobody wants to hear that jobs are going to get lost in any way, shape, or form, maybe except for the federal government. I think everybody is pretty happy to hear about that, at least anybody who's a taxpayer, because we got 5 million people working for the federal government. 5 million people. That's a lot. So anyway, the Air Force will begin procurement of Family Affordable Mass Missiles, or FAMM, a new type of cost-effective subsonic cruise missile that can strike at long range and can be produced en masse. While the service has been fairly tight-lipped about the FAMM program so far, it is slated to get underway in fiscal 2026 alongside the development of long-range anti-ship missiles and joint air-to-surface standoff missiles with extended range, according to budget documents. And the service's budget also seeks to boost intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities while funding Air Force Weapons System Sustainment, or WSS, at 85% with mandatory funding, the service has stated in a release. Altogether, the Air Force budget represents $24.9 billion worth of a jump, a 13.5% increase from the previous fiscal year. It plans a 3.8% pay increase for service members and seeks to grow its force strength by 1,500 personnel. Likewise, the Space Force seeks to grow its force by 600 troops and emphasize focus on boosting satellite communications as well as counterspace systems, according to budget documents. Counterspace systems are designed to prevent enemy satellite communications in the service's area of responsibility. And the article goes on from there, just a little bit more, probably a few more minutes worth of a read, but I'm getting pretty limited on time, but we're almost at the end here. So director Michael Kratsios, American AI is open for business, and he's the assistant to the president and 13th director of I can't remember what this was, WHOSP, the official account for the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. That's a mouthful. All right. So anyway, great conversations at the State Department today with diplomats from around the world sharing the Trump administration's plan for accelerating American AI exports to allies and partners. And this was posted yesterday at 6:28 p.m. So U.S. U/S for economic growth, energy, and the environment. Senior official for economic growth, energy, and the environment, Tom Lurston, hosted WHO STP 47 Director Michael Kratsios today for a briefing with high-level foreign diplomats on America's AI action plan. Together, we're building global partnerships to advance trusted AI technologies and shared prosperity. AI, man, that's the name of the game. AI is getting out there. It's getting crazy. And I mean, Apple's getting involved. All kinds of people are getting involved. I mean, it's quite an initiative that they're working on. And I mean, I might actually take Melania's offer on that and actually just maybe see what it's all about. I mean, I guess it couldn't hurt. I mean, my daughter, she just graduated from high school. She's in college right now, so not sure if she'd be all that interested in digging into AI, but I don't know, man. You never know. I mean, yeah, you never really know. But all right, so I think, yep, that's it. That is it, man. That's all I got for today. So if you enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me if you do. And I'll drop a new show every evening covering the swamp and everyone living in it, the politicians, the bureaucrats, the agencies, and everything else. And I also post daily episodes over on X. So if you would like to, you can go over there and drop a comment over there too if you'd like. And anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your night, and God bless America.